Story 1. There is a local Italian restaurant that makes a 4-cheese pizza. It is loaded with butter and baked in a brick oven. It is absolutely amazing. Story 2. A margherita pizza is, in my opinion, the hardest type of pizza to master, as there is nowhere to hide. Consists of just dough, sauce, cheese, and basil. Story 3. A cheese pizza is the true test of a pizza. Toppings are fine, but if your pizzeria's pizza requires toppings to be good, that's a mediocre pie at best. Story 4. I can never claim to know what the best pizza is, but my favorite was the smoked salmon and arugula pizza from La Cantina Pizzeria, which is now closed. Story 5. Detroit-style pizza is a square deep dish with a crust that is oily and crisp on the outside and chewy on the inside. Although it may not be as well known, it is delicious and not as heavy as Chicago deep dish pizza. Story 6. Thin crust pizza with pepperoni, sausage, green pepper, and bacon. I am diabetic, so anything other than thin crust is not an option. Story 7. There isn't a single best pizza. The great thing about pizza is that it's infinitely customizable. One day you may crave a plain margherita. Another day you might want to indulge in a quattro stagione, or you may prefer a quattro formaggi without tomato sauce. You can also opt for something spicy or even sweet. Story 8. Just a good old cheese. Just a well-done basic pizza. I will accept pepperoni as an option too, but nothing beats stretchy cheese, marinara, and perfect stone-cooked dough. Story 9. Thin crust pepperoni pizza with garlic and herbs. Pizza is somewhat like breasts in that there are no bad ones. I enjoy them all. Story 10. Custom salami, sun-dried tomatoes, feta cheese, banana peppers, green olives, pineapple, roasted garlic, spinach, and extra cheese. Story 11. Can't go wrong with some good old pepperoni. Add some green bell peppers and onions if you want vegetables. Story 12. Canadian pizza with bacon, sausage, hamburger, and brown sugar mixed in the cheese to provide a light sweet flavor that mimics maple syrup. Story 13. Honestly, the $5 hot and ready from Little Caesars at 2 a.m. when you're coming home from a night out. Is it gourmet? No. Will it taste like heaven in that moment? Absolutely. Sometimes context is everything. Story 14. It depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes a deep dish just hits right. Other times, a thin crust is perfect, or a wood-fired or fluffy crust. Story 15. First, I prefer the Pizza Express Romana bases, which are ultra-thin over all other options. I enjoy a spicy pepperoni and sausage topping with hot peppers, and I added olives as an extra. Story 16. I once had a chicken barbecue pizza, and let me tell you, my life has never been the same. I was a bit skeptical at first, but it was delicious. Also, cheese pizzas are top tier. Story 17. Ham, black olives, and mushrooms are included. The dipping sauce is buffalo hot sauce and blue cheese dressing, with a 60/40 mix of blue cheese at 60%. Story 18. Unpopular opinion, but to me, the best pizza is a plain cheese pizza. Nothing extra or fancy. I can tell a lot about how good a pizza place is based on how well they make their cheese pizza alone. If they can't get that right, expect everything else to be of poor quality. Story 19. Blue Crush pizza, garlic-infused olive oil, Parmesan and Gorgonzola cheese, red onion, walnuts, roasted grapes, and fresh rosemary. Story 20. A Real pan pizza with a soft, white, delicious crust that is 2 to 3 inches thick. Extra real mozzarella cheese that is so melty you might choke on it if you're not careful. A light sauce that is more oil than tomato with pepperoni as the only topping. I haven't had one like that in over 30 years, but I'm dreaming about it now. Story 21. Papa John's pepperoni and jalapeno pizza with garlic sauce for dipping the crust. I am not sure if it's the best, but I do know that the only Papa John's within 100 miles closed unexpectedly, while I still had 170 loyalty points and a gift card. Now, when I think of my favorite pizza, I feel cheated and miss it so much. Story 22. Pepperoni, green peppers, and red onions from the Red Barn in Eastham, Massachusetts. I have been going there since I was a child. Story 23. A big, floppy, greasy slice of New York-style pizza with a balanced amount of pepperoni is classic. When I want something different, a spicy Hawaiian pizza is my favorite. It's polarizing, but I love it. Story 24, Detroit style. I will eat any pizza. It's all good. However, ever since I've had Detroit style, I've deemed it the best in my opinion. Story 25. Give me a after that, I would like a pineapple and Canadian bacon pizza. I'm sorry. Story 26. Meaty, preferably with a thin, crispy crust. This can be challenging due to the oil in the meats, but if you have a really hot pizza oven, it is achievable. The sausage must be spiced correctly, with fennel and other herbs prominent, providing a nice kick. I prefer smaller pepperoni pieces. The dough should be very thin and crisp, yet have a solid yeasty flavor, almost sour. Story 27. Most pizzas are made with fresh ingredients, daily fresh dough, and freshly made sauce. These factors elevate pizza above the offerings of regular national chain establishments. Story 28. I know not every place offers it as a topping, but hamburg and onions with extra cheese from the local pizza place in my hometown is the best. Hamburg is just lightly seasoned ground beef, but that seasoning, along with the sauce, is so good. In general, my order is a calzone with sausage, peppers, onions, and cheese, but I like that on a pizza as well. Just don't give me any olives, and I'll be okay. Story 29. Pepperoni with stuffed crust. If you don't want the pepperoni, you can always pick it off the top if made correctly, turning it into a cheese pizza. Story 30. Almost anything in New Jersey. And don't give me franchise Domino's or Pizza Hut. I'm talking local spots. Story 31. I know this may not be received well, but when I crave pizza, I crave a thin crust supreme pizza from Pizza Hut. I understand it's because that was our favorite when we were kids, but I truly love it. The crunchiness and combination of toppings are delicious. Story 32. I got a slice of pepperoni pizza from a place in Boston. I knew it would be amazing when I saw an elderly Italian man, around 85 years old, walking out while playing the accordion. I can't wait to go back for another slice. Story 33. The 4-cheese pizza I had in Naples in 2004 at a random pizza restaurant outside the Naples train station. Story 34. I enjoy Hawaiian pizza. It features ham and pineapple, which is great on its own and on a pizza. I believe many people who dislike it are just opposed to the idea and have never tried it. My second favorite is ham and mushroom. I welcome any criticism. Story 35. Pepperoni. Sometimes you have to step away from it, try some veggies, enjoy barbecue chicken pizza, or have fun with something like fig and prosciutto. But at the end of the day, you will always return to pepperoni pizza. Story 36. The pizza my 4-year-old grandson made was delicious. His dad helped, and although it was cheese only, the sauce had a little jalapeno in it. It cost us a couple of $100 in birthday gifts to get some slices, but it was totally worth it. Story 37. My workplace offers a dish called the Cheese Wizard, which is a thin crust pizza topped with red sauce and 4 types of cheese. I have them add prosciutto and hot honey, and it is excellent. Story 38. In terms of toppings, I always choose cheese pizza. If they offer cheese stuffed crust, I opt for that as well. Regarding brands, there is a local pizzeria that serves the best pizza and breadsticks. I might just get some for breakfast now. I used to live in Idaho Falls, and there was a place called Papa Tom's Pizza. I don't know if they are still around, but I remember they had amazing pizza. Story 39. Domino's used to offer a pizza called the Double Decadence. It featured 2 thin layers with cream cheese and herbs in between, followed by tomato sauce and your choice of toppings on top. If a restaurant made a version of that, I would buy it every time. Domino's is usually disappointing for pizza, but even that tasted great. Story 40. California factory-style pizza is distinct from traditional Italian-style pizza, which often leads to overcomplication. Some pizzas have high glucose levels that make the crust excessively chewy, while others feature an overload of meat that prevents the grease from blending well with the cheese. In some cases, there may simply be insufficient cheese to keep the toppings from falling off with each bite. Now, imagine if popular chains like Pizza Hut or Domino's upgraded their ingredient quality significantly. The result would be a consistent pizza experience, characterized by a well-balanced blend of ingredients perfected over the years. Story 41. New York-style pizza has been the gold standard for 100 years for a reason. To qualify as pizza, it must include these three things in this order. 1. Flattened dough. 2. Tomato sauce. 3. Cheese. Can have anything else on it or in it, but if it doesn't include flattened dough, tomato sauce, and cheese in that order, it is not considered pizza. Story 42. Currently, I am all for mortadella, pistachio, and fior di latte napolitana. I tried a Ziader pizza recently, and it was quite good. Story 43. For me, the perfect pizza is a foldable New York slice. Thin crust that crackles at the edge but still bends in the middle. Dressed simply with good tomato sauce, fresh mozzarella, a few torn basil leaves, and a quick drizzle of hot honey the second it comes out of the oven. The cheese settles into little white islands. The sauce tastes like summer tomatoes, and that touch of honey adds a sweet heat kick that keeps me reaching for another bite, even when I promised myself one slice was enough. It's the kind of pizza you eat standing at a city counter, grease paper in one hand, happiness in the other. Story 44. Detroit-style 8-corner pizza with sausage and pepperoni. I grew up in Chicago, and I believe Detroit-style pizza is better than Chicago deep dish. Story 45. It was Italian sausage, ham, and pepperoni at an Italian restaurant run by a family friend. I used to tell people to order that and request his hot sauce mixed with the pizza sauce if they were feeling brave. He was from Sicily but grew up in New York before moving to Florida. He also prepared traditional Italian food that was amazing. He is now retired, but if you're very lucky, he will cook a batch at his church, where they now have his pizza oven on special occasions or if you ask nicely. My cousin and brother-in-law worked for him for 20 years and can also make them, but they're not quite the same as those made in his restaurant. In fact, almost everyone in our family worked for him at one time or another. I worked for him for a short while too, helping out with dishes and serving drinks. Story 46. In my opinion, when it comes to pizza, I am incapable of objectivity. That being said, my favorite toppings are sausage, onion, and mushroom. Sometimes I add black olives. Story 47. The best pizza I have ever had was from a small family-owned restaurant when I visited New York. The second best pizza I have ever had was from a tiny takeout-only pizzeria in Montreal named Le Gout. The taste in French. Story 48. I ordered 2 pizzas in Saigon last year, but when I got home, I realized that they had given me someone else's 2 pizza order, which both had pineapple. I called the restaurant and they fixed it. What are the chances that the same order would have both pizzas with pineapple? I still ate them though. Pizza is still pizza. Story 49. Papa Del's Pizza offers an original Sicilian sausage pizza. Monocle's Delight is another great option. I have yet to find anything that matches their quality. Story 50. The one I'm allowed to partake in. It's pretty hard to make a bad pizza, short of using gravel and inappropriate toppings. My preference, though, is a barbecue base with chicken. Domino's would call it a Texas barbecue for reference. Story 51. Alfredo sauce, mozzarella, cheddar, pepperoni, garlic, and pan crust topped edge to edge for a crispy cheese crust. Story 52. Bufalina. Our tour guide recommended it in Rome, and it truly amazed me. I still haven't been able to find one in America. Story 53. I'm a Chicagoan. I think New Haven-style pizza is for me. There are only a few places here that serve it, but they are phenomenal. As for toppings, I prefer sausage and some other vegetables. Story 54. Okay, I can't pick just one style of pizza because I've had a lot of good pizzas. Mushroom pizza with various types of mushrooms and truffle oil is one of the best. Chicken Alfredo with spinach and spicy sausage. Pepperoni with roasted red peppers, drizzled with basil oil, and roasted in a brick oven. From the same place as the mushroom pizza, they had a special nacho pizza, which seemed unconventional but tasted amazing. I can't remember everything on it, but it included cheddar cheese dip, peppers, sausage, lettuce, and sour cream with a wood-fired crust that stayed crunchy. It was not overloaded like I thought it would be and was actually well put together. I think the most important aspect is the crust. It has to be crispy and hold the sauce without getting soggy. Story 55. Nduja, burrata, and basil are served on fluffy sourdough with a flavorful herb butter for the crust. This combination is perfectly spicy, meaty, and creamy. Story 56. I enjoy variety and many types of pizza. I will go with my 6 favorite toppings. 1. Pepperoni. 2. Sausage. 3. Chicken. 4. Jalapenos. 5. Green bell peppers. 6. Buffalo sauce. I especially love meaty and spicy pizzas. Typically, I prefer thin crust or tavern style, but deep dish is great too. Story 57. There is a place in New Haven, Connecticut, with a pizza called the Italian Bomb. That is my favorite pizza I have ever had. It is at a restaurant called Modern Pizza. Story 58. I love pizza in general, but if I had to pick an absolute favorite, it would be light barbecue sauce with extra cheese, chicken, and pineapple as toppings. Story 59. Wood-fired with crispy, slightly charred bubbles on the edge. For toppings, I recommend cup-style pepperoni and prosciutto. For cheese, I prefer a full spread of mozzarella instead of fresh. Drizzle with a bit of olive oil, red pepper flakes, and Parmesan. Story 61. Pepperoni. 2. Cheese with Alfredo sauce. 3. Ground beef and bacon with barbecue sauce. Bacon cheeseburger. I prefer a crunchy thin crust. Story 61. In New Haven, Connecticut, there is a bar that serves a mashed potato and bacon pizza that I dream about every night. Story 62. Mushroom, onion, and either pepperoni or sausage. Unfortunately, I likely cannot have cheese anymore. I haven't confirmed this 100%, but it's very likely. Story 63. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I just want a classic pepperoni and sausage, but other times I want a Hawaiian pizza or a chicken bacon ranch pizza. It's a mood thing. Story 64. Cheese, mushrooms, and all the vegetables, unpopular opinion. I also like chicken and beef as toppings because I eat kosher, but I prefer only vegetables. Story 65. Hawaiian pizza, yes, with pineapples. I really like it and don't understand why some people dislike it so much. Story 66. Adriatico's in Columbus, Ohio, has the best pizza I have ever tasted. Having tried pizza all over the world, I can provide an informed opinion. Story 67. I have a certain love for pepperoni with banana peppers, especially when they are slightly pickled. It adds a zest that rounds out the pepperoni perfectly, lightening up the dish while enhancing the flavor and cutting through the natural greasiness. There is a subtle sweetness to the peppers that balances everything out. The required pepper density is lower than bell peppers, and they don't need onion, allowing for a nice balance in each bite and providing an enjoyable pizza experience. I have grown many banana peppers, which helps me select the right balance when I use them, though that might just be my preference. Story 68. I personally prefer a hand-tossed style crust with extra sauce. Spread the sauce to the absolute edge before rolling it back to create a sauce-stuffed crust. Brush the crust with garlic butter. For toppings, choose either sausage, onion, and mushroom or banana pepper and Canadian bacon. The first option offers a deep savory taste, while the second caters to those who want a Hawaiian pizza without complaints. The banana pepper provides a similar light tanginess without large chunks of fruit. Story 69. Ham and pineapple. Just kidding. My favorite topping is pepperoni, Italian sausage, banana peppers, and black olives. Story 70. The best option for me would be the one that everyone is most likely to enjoy, which is cheese. However, for my own enjoyment, I prefer adding pepperoni and ham. Story 71. Round table, whatever they call the salute now, followed closely by the Maui Zowie. Unfortunately, they are only on the West Coast. I get one of each whenever I happen to be over there. I am not too fond of California, though. It's pretty, but you can smell marijuana everywhere. I don't smoke, so it's just kind of surreal. Story 72. There is a place nearby that sells raw dough with tomato sauce. You can take it home, prepare it, and then bake it in the oven. I will stuff it with jalapenos, shoulder ham, and artichoke hearts, and then enjoy it when it's ready. Story 73. A white pizza with ricotta, fresh mozzarella, roasted garlic, and crumbled spicy sausage. Fans of Bertucci's in the late 1990s and early 2000s may be familiar. However, there is not much that can ruin a pizza for me. Story 74. The best pizza isn't exactly my favorite or my second favorite for that matter. I think the best pizza is a classic Italian margherita with buffalo mozzarella, basil, and a dash of olive oil. If we could only have one pizza to keep in the world, I would probably vote for margherita over my actual favorites. My favorite is pepperoni, but I've been going for ham and pineapple a lot more regularly recently. Please don't judge me. I enjoy the contrast between sweet and salty. My boss refuses to stock pineapple in his pizza restaurant, so I have to make it at home, unfortunately. I'm sure he dislikes me. Story 75. Combo, or whatever you want to call it. Pepperoni, sausage, onions, green peppers, and olives. I don't like mushrooms. Story 76. When I was growing up, there was a place called Lord Byron's Pizza that had a unique cheese combination different from everyone else's. I also miss Godfather's. Those were the days. Story 77. Cornmeal crust, thin crust cut into squares that I had while visiting a friend at Notre Dame. Born and raised in New York City, I really enjoyed Midwest Tavern Pizza. I believe it was a chain restaurant that offered $4 pitchers of beer, which may have influenced my experience, especially after driving for 12 hours. Story 78. Get one pepperoni, sausage, jalapenos, and green peppers. Get one Greek with feta, onions, and oregano. Put a slice of one on top of the other to make a delicious pizza sandwich. Story 79. I grew up in New Jersey, and there is a place called Star Tavern in Orange that has the best pizza in the world. Living 6,000 miles away from there now is rough. Story 80. I have relatives in Campania, southern Italy, and the margherita pizza in any top pizzeria in Salerno is definitely a favorite. Story 81. I enjoy a variety of toppings, including different meats, vegetables, and even pineapple. However, nothing compares to that first slice of a fresh pepperoni pizza. Story 82. Neapolitan style with a pesto base and a drizzle of red sauce around. Topped with chicken, mushrooms, and onions. Story 83. Plain cheese New York thin crust pizza by the slice is the best pizza I have ever had. There are a handful of pizzerias that make pizza so exceptional that any additional toppings take away from its perfection. One place in particular is called Ray's Pizza near me. It's still great with toppings, but with the exception of pepperoni, any extra toppings detract from the absolute perfection of that pizza. What kind of pizza I want or am craving can vary a lot. There are different styles and toppings for each style. Thin crust New York pizza, flatbread pizza, deep dish pizza, and standard takeout pizza are all such different types that they might as well be their own foods. Costco pizza is exceptional for what it is, for example, but I am not even sure where it fits among the pizzas I just listed. Also, I know it's not considered high-quality pizza, but sometimes Pizza Hut can be really good if you are in the mood for that style. If I am getting toppings on a pizza, onion is always my first choice. I am one of those people who loves pineapple on pizza, especially when paired with something a bit spicy to balance the sweet and sour. My favorite is roasted red peppers. Basil, oregano, and garlic are all great additions too. Italian sausage and mushroom are also great but depend on my mood. Anchovies can be surprisingly good in the right circumstances. I have also enjoyed great Japanese and Korean pizzas with toppings that seem unusual like crab, kimchi, and corn. The only toppings I decidedly don't like are ham, olives, and especially jalapenos. I can't stand pickled jalapenos. Now for the sad part. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with celiac disease, so there aren't many pizzas I can eat these days. Even if gluten-free dough were not awful and I found a place that had it, I can't eat gluten-free pizzas unless the place is dedicated gluten-free. The flour used on regular pizzas gets everywhere, including the oven, so I basically just can't eat it. Homemade is now the only way I get to enjoy pizza. Story 84. I had a pizza when visiting Naples, Italy, as one does, with buffalo mozzarella, tomatoes, basil, and a balsamic drizzle. They called it the caprese. I would be a happy man eating that pizza every day for the rest of my life. The appetizer was freshly cooked pizza dough with an olive oil, basil, and Parmesan dipping sauce. That was amazing. Story 85. Anything that is vegan but does not distinguish itself from any other kind of pizza. Story 86. A Sicilian pizza with pepperoni and pesto drizzled on top is decadent, greasy, and amazing. If you know a place that makes a Sicilian pizza, I highly suggest asking them to prepare it this way. Could become your favorite as well. Story 87. A local neighborhood establishment with pinball machines and a variety of local taps. My favorite pizza style is a thin, crunchy crust. I prefer simple toppings like jalapenos and pepperoni. However, to be honest, there isn't a style I dislike. Whether it's Chicago, Neapolitan, or New York, as long as it's a local joint that cares about quality and serves local beers, I'm happy. Story 88. Authentic margherita pizza. Hopefully, the new Mufasa pizza I am about to debut turns out just as good. Story 89. I worked in a gourmet pizza place for 5 years, and I can tell you about the best pizza I made. You start with a Detroit-style deep dish. The sauce needs to be a mix of pizza sauce and pesto. On top of the sauce, add crispy breaded eggplant. Ours was baked, but fried would probably be better. Next, add mozzarella, bacon, onion, garlic, and roasted red peppers. Finish it off with a generous amount of Parmesan cheese, which should crisp up almost like a shell on top. Story 90. I like sun-dried tomatoes and pesto on a white sauce. You can add bacon if you want. I've also had anchovy and sauerkraut pizza, and it was surprisingly good. For frozen pizza, Red Baron offers great value, but Home Run Inn from Chicago makes an unbelievable frozen pizza. Story 91. Crispy undercarriage, a sauce that is light in volume but also has a robust taste, a decent crust, and a nice mixture of flavorful cheese. I enjoy toppings such as sausage and mushroom or pepperoni and onion, but my preference is just a simple cheese slice as described above. Story 92. Prosciutto, black olives, and caramelized onion create a perfect balance of salty and savory flavors, with a slightly sweet accent. Story 93. I love all kinds of pizza, but there is a special place in my heart for banana pizza from a local pizzeria in the neighborhood where I used to live. It has tomato sauce, cheese, thinly sliced banana, ham, and curry sauce on top. Story 94. In Jersey, the all-out everything pizza is called a garbage pie. I loved calling our local place and ordering the garbage pie. It was so good. Story 95. I'm not a very picky eater and wanted to contribute to this conversation by saying that pineapple on pizza is good. Story 96. A fluffy brick oven margherita pizza. Only one man in my town can make pizza right, so that's where I go. I love basil, so I always get extra. Tomato sauce that doesn't cause days of heartburn is also wonderful. My runner-up is a barbecue pizza with red onions and banana peppers. Story 97. On the small side, it has some pizza oven char on the bottom, along with pepperoni, mushrooms, and hopefully some basil. Story 98. 1. Napoli-style pizza at a restaurant in Capri overlooking the Mediterranean. John's Pizza in Manhattan, located in a converted church. Tasted like they picked the tomatoes after I ordered it. Cassio e Pepe Pizza at a Napoli-style pizzeria in Brooklyn. Story 99. It depends on my mood, but most of the time, I prefer a slightly charred thin crust margherita pizza. If I'm at the right restaurant, I might choose a thin crust Neapolitan pizza. When I'm feeling fancy, I enjoy thin crust prosciutto with arugula. If I crave regular Canadian-style pizza, I generally opt for bacon and cheese, mushroom and cheese, or vegetarian. I also like the occasional Hawaiian, which includes ham and pineapple, and I enjoy adding spicy peppers, such as jalapeno or banana pepper. Story 100. If it's a true Italian-style pizza, I'm a purist. Margherita or prosciutto. Now, if we are talking about fast food pizza places, it has to be Hawaiian with onions. Unpopular opinion, but it's really good. Story 101. pineapple and basil pesto. I once told this to my boss, who was half Italian. He stared at me with a judging look on his face for several seconds. It is delicious, though. Story 102. Chicken, banana peppers, black olives, and pepperoni are toppings on a thick crust with creamy garlic sauce. Story 103. Fugazita. Not because it's ours, but because I truly love onions. By the way, our pizzas are not like Neapolitan pizzas. They are made in a mold or pan, which creates a crispy bottom. They are also much closer to focaccia than a thin, chewy traditional pizza in terms of dough. Story 104. Red Savoy is square-cut, cheesy, and greasy, with a good amount of slightly spicy sauce. Pepperoni is preferred. Story 105. There is a small place in Scaffa, Italy. They serve a pizza called amatriciana, featuring 3 cheeses, guanciale, and spicy pepper oil. There is something special about this combination and their sauce. It is truly the best I have ever had. I have lived in Italy and traveled extensively. Every time my wife and I are in town, we get this pizza. Story 106. I don't know, but those $5 Rustica meat lover cheese crust pizzas are awesome. Just 10 minutes at 450 degrees, and voila. Story 107. Generally, a pepperoni pizza tends to satisfy that craving, but if I'm being specific, shrimp and pineapple. Story 108. Pepperoni pizza is the ultimate choice. Not only are they the best pizzas of all time, but they are also the most efficient. There are many great pizzas in the world, but they often rely on excessive toppings, which is fine, but pepperoni pizzas are the best and simplest. If someone ever makes the perfect pizza, I believe it will be a pepperoni. Story 109. This is really weird. I am not a big pizza fan, even though I grew up in the Chicago area. However, I was in Nepal 2 weeks ago, and my friends ordered pizza. It was probably one of the best pizzas I have ever eaten in Nepal. Story 110. Hawaiian chicken and pineapple. Story 111. Diavolo pepperoni. Not too much clutter, no nonsense. Just a good sauce, some good cheese with spicy salami and jalapenos because they are just too good to pass on. And that, my friends, beats every other combination out there. It has enough flavor to be explosive, not too much to overwhelm my taste buds, and the heat just makes you happy. A classic for a reason. Story 112. Meat and classic cheese and pepperoni. Story 113. I like affordable pizza. I've tried some highly regarded options, but I was underwhelmed. Give me a Costco frozen pepperoni pizza. It's awesome. Story 114. Italian pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, and onions. You can add a bit of pesto as well. Olives too. I love pizza. Story 115. There are a few answers, and most of them aren't really the kind of answer you're looking for. First, it's impossible to choose because pizza is a broad term for a type of open-faced sandwich with so much variety that different pizzas can effectively be completely different dishes. It's like saying, what is objectively the best steak? Coq au vin or salmon fillet? Second, it depends. What are you drinking? What else have you eaten recently? What kinds of pizza have you been eating a lot, and what have you not had in a long time? What elicits a nostalgia response? That's pretty subjective. Are we talking about taste or nutrition? Crucially, what is the quality of the crust, sauce, and so on? The best pizza from, for example, Pizza Hut is one where toppings with strong single-note flavors combine to cover up the taste of poor crust and sauce. It's a tragedy that they took cherry peppers and anchovies off their menu. If each ingredient is the best they could source or make, you want something with no more than 5 components. Crust, sauce, cheese, 1 herb, like basil or thyme, and 1 spice, like garlic or chili peppers. Third, and on that note, I lied because the real answer is Grandma Pizza, a Sicilian-style margherita pizza with stripes of rich dark red tomato sauce instead of tomato slices and a load of garlic, from Antonio's Pizza in Estes Park, Colorado. I've had pizza everywhere, and that's the best one. The other answers are general and subjective, but this answer may be too specific because nowhere else will have the exact sauce and crust that Antonio's has, let alone combined with the same cheese, basil, and garlic. Another pizza place could try to make the exact pizza, And it will not be remotely the same because the ingredients won't be the same, even if they are the same ingredient. Story 116. I grew up in the outskirts of New York, so I would probably have to say New York pizza. However, I had some amazing pizza when I was in Portland. There are a few places in Boston that make a really good pie. Story 117. Quattro's Deep Pan Pizza is an amazing pizza place located in Carbondale, Illinois. This is not an advertisement. This place was nearly a go-to spot for me during college. It was so tasty. Story 118. I love seeing my Madison Square Garden bullies preach empathy. Maddie, I thought you were going to post a story to prove you donated to Resilience, the organization you support, but act the opposite. Story 119. Stuffed crust, garlic, herbs, Parmesan, Alfredo sauce, pineapple, chicken, olives, sausage, ham, bacon. Story 120. Double cheese, pepperoni, and bacon, not that fake variety. Bruin-Noise green pepper and onion, along with anchovies. All of the ingredients must be on top of the double cheese and cooked until the pepperoni resembles little wells of high-intensity volcanoes. This way, I can enjoy my anchovy-stuffed peppers with garlic baguette in the meantime. La Hacienda in Niagara Falls, New York, has the best pizza I have ever had in my life. Story 121. I worked at a pizza chain for 2 years and ate a significant amount of pizza. At first, I loved my pizzas with lots of toppings. After a few months, I preferred a plain cheese pizza. Crust, pizza sauce, mozzarella, a bit of cheddar, and a sprinkle of Parmesan. Story 122. Thin crust with an olive oil and garlic base, topped with chicken, purple onion, Kalamata olives, a trio of mushrooms, blue cheese crumbles, and basil. Served with a bourbon barrel-aged porter beer. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.